How can I improve my concentration during meditation and keep my inner gaze focused straight ahead?
One of the keys for a successful meditative practice is that our concentration be focused properly. To still the body is very easy. And as the body is still, then we need to make sure that our focus is right in front of us. Many people feel that since the seat of the soul is here, between and behind the two eyebrows, so they try to raise their eyeballs up. So one of the keys is to make sure that your eyeballs are straight, like in the horizontal plane. And something that has helped many people is if you sit down to meditate, and let's say you face towards the wall, and at the height of your eyeballs, maybe take a sheet of paper and put like a black spot in the middle, at the same height as your eyes. And look at it for a minute or two, and then close your eyes, and then start the meditation. That will help you keep your focus in the arena where it should be. So do that for about 30 days, and you'll see that your concentration will improve. So that's the first thing you can do to improve your concentration. The other thing that you have to do is, as you pass through life, you should go through your life by focusing on one thing at a time. You should make that your habit. You should not think you're going to multitask. Because when we multitask, then we have this thing going here, and this thing going here, and this thing going there, and that thing going here. And then it's very difficult to still the mind, because the mind is going here, there, and becomes more restless. So, but if we learn, as Sant Singh Ji Maharaj would often say, like if a file cabinet, you open one drawer, you deal with the things there, then you close that drawer, then you open the second drawer and deal with things there. So let's focus on trying to do one thing at a time in our life. As we get in the habit of doing one thing at a time, we realize that our concentration to do that activity is enhanced now. But the distractions which are pulling us away, which we are thinking, I have to think of this thing happening well, and this thing happening well, and this thing happening well, are gone. Then we can focus more and more on what is truly important, which is that our gaze be focused properly. And what helps us is that as we are focusing right in front of us, that during the day, when we're doing our other mundane chores, that we do Simran. As we do Simran during the day, it also stills the mind. So that when we sit down to meditate, then the mind will not try to distract us as much. So the mind would then be also helpful in our being able to make our meditations more productive. So these are the keys. So to be able to concentrate, we can do a physical experiment, by putting a spot on the wall at that same eye level so the eyes are straight. We can try to get into the habit of doing one thing at a time, so we're very concentrated as we do that. And then we also try to do Simran during the day, whenever we get a chance, when we are doing mundane activities, so that our attention towards the goal would be much more concentrated, and our meditations would be much more deeper. So those are things that would help you.
My mind is very strong and active. How do I keep my mind still?
The mind is very, very active. Just like if you go to a chemistry lab, or if you've seen mercury in a test tube, it's always moving, it doesn't stay still. So mind is restless. It's thinking of one thing, then thinking of another thing, thinking of a third thing. And that's the mechanism of the mind to put a spiral down on us so that we are not raising our consciousness to go in the right direction. So once we understand what the mind does, then we have to find a solution. So first, if we think that we can stop the mind, then that's not possible. The mind is very powerful. So stopping the mind is not going to be possible. So the saints say you should befriend the mind. So somehow we have to convince the mind that its home is also not here. The mind's home is in the third plane. For it to be really happy, for it to be joyous, it should reach its own home. And once we convince the mind that its happiness and joy is going to come from being in the third region, then it will also become helpful to us, because it will want to be in a state which is much more happier for it. And so as that happens, then at times when we are not doing any mental activity, we can repeat God's name, we can repeat the Simran. Now in the beginning, as we get initiated, it might take us a while where we can get to a state where as we close our eyes and we do the Simran, that our mind then is not going to have enough power in it to send thoughts to us. But it takes practice, it takes time. So if we think if we got initiated yesterday and today it should work, it just takes a while. Meditation is a practice. And any practice, the more we practice, the better we get at the practice. So for us to be able to still the mind, we need to practice that on a daily basis. And as we do that practice, then we will find that slowly we will get to states when we close our eyes and when we do the Simran, that we are getting to a state of no thoughts. In the beginning there may be lights, flashes of light, circles of light, but stabilization will come in after a while. And then many more vistas will open up for us. So the key is the repeatability of the practice. The key is to do the Simran during the day as much as we can, whenever there's no mental activity going on. And when we would put that into practice, I will find in a few weeks that our meditations are already getting better and better, more conscious than they were before.
How do I know whether the inner vistas I see are real?
Those of us who get initiated in the messages of the beyond, we have a great boon that we receive. And that is the repetition of the 5 holy names of God, which are given to us at the time of holy initiation. They not only act as a protective shell so that powers which do not go to Sachkhand are going to penetrate that or distract us, but they also act as a testing agent. So whenever we are meditating on the light, to experience the light of God, anything that comes in front of us as we do a Simran, that is also testing what is it that we're experiencing. So if we see something and we are doing the Simran and it stays there, then it's a positive power. It's something which is good. And if it's a power which is not coming all the way from Sachkhand, then it won't be able to stand the test of the repetition of God's name. So the repetition of God's name, which is called Simran, is our testing agent which can test whatever we're seeing. So if we see something and we do the Simran and it's still in front of us, then we know it's correct. It's not imagination, it's not that we thought about it. And if when we repeat the names, it's not a power which is positive, it's not a power which is going to such kind, it's a distracting power, then it'll go away. It won't stay in front of the repetition of those 5 holy names. So we can use that testing agent to be able to check that the experience in front of us is true, is real, and it's not an imagination. So one of the things to think about, especially those who get initiated in the beginning, don't sit to meditate with feeling that I want to see this thing. If you sit with the intention, say, I want to experience this, and then you experience that, then there's always the doubt, did I force the issue? So you should sit with this prayer within yourself to God. Oh God, reveal to me whatever you think is right for me. We should not be asking for this thing or that thing or that thing as we meditate. We should be asking God to give us an experience which God thinks is best for us. Because God really knows the past, God really knows the present, God really knows the future. And so God truly knows what we need. And so when we sit with that intention, then we know that we're not imagining anything. We are sitting with the intention of trying to experience the joys within. We're sitting with the intention to experience the light within so that all darkness will get dispelled. And so before we sit, it's the prayer to God to help us experience whatever God feels is right. And then as we meditate, as we experience the light, we do the Simran, then whatever is in front of us is something which is positive, is something which is coming from Sachkhand, and that's something that we can enjoy and experience and go with.
I sleepitate a lot. How do I get out of that?
We all need to realize that the human body is a machine made out of matter. And this is why at the time of our deaths, all of our faiths put the body back into matter in one manner or another. And so, like any other machinery, all machines need time to recover from whatever they've done. They may get too hot, so you need to cool them. And you need to periodically fine-tune them through oils or other processes. And similarly, our body also needs to be repairing itself. All day long, it's doing activities. So we're tearing on something, we're breaking something, we're doing something else. We're putting food in the body, the digestive system goes into place. And so something is happening to the body where the body gets tired. And this is why it needs rest, it needs sleep. The time when the body is resting, or the time that we sleep, is the time when the body gets repaired. Things in it are fixed, because it's a resting time, nothing moving, so you can fix it. So, having understood that, if we sleepitate when we should be meditating, we know that the body needs rest, which it is not getting in our other activities. So if you come back right from work, you're very tired, you've run a few blocks or something, and you say, I'm going to meditate, and the body is very, very tired, then it's bound to fall asleep. So instead of meditating, you're sleepitating. So one of the things that I have found has helped us deal with a situation where it seems like we're falling asleep instead of meditating, is to try to wake the body up. So meditate at a time when you're well rested. This is why in the old times people would sleep by 6 or 7 o'clock when the sun went down. It was easy for them to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. The body was well rested, so that became the time to meditate. Because you've slept enough, your body is rested enough, whatever you did the day before has all been healed, and now you're wide awake and you can meditate. Today, people have jobs and shifts. The hospital, the grocery stores, things are working 24 hours a day. And so we need to check for ourselves, what is the time in which one is well rested? So pick up that time when you're well rested to be able to meditate. Then hopefully you are not going to fall asleep. The other thing that you can try is, before you meditate, take a shower. Because when we take a shower, then it opens the pores of our being. It kind of awakens us. And I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes, you have to go someplace and you haven't slept enough, and you take a shower, then you're okay for another few hours. You can keep on going again. So after resting and taking a shower, it helps us so that we are able to meditate better. Sleepitation only happens because the body is tired. And so we need to try to be in a state where the body is not tired, where we are wide awake, and when we'll do that, then we'll find that as we meditate, we will be concentrated on the joys within and not on trying to take care of the physical body. Because meditation is a time to take care of the spiritual being, which is our soul. And so we need to differentiate what activity is being doing for what purpose. And as we learn that the time to meditate is what nourishes the soul, that the body needs to be awake, then someone might take a shower and be more awake, another person might take a bath and be more awake. Someone might think a little exercise wakes them up. There are all kinds of things that we will try. And whatever works for you is what you should try. But the key is that you need to be wide awake. And if you do that, then definitely your meditations are going to get better. And instead of sleeping, you would be focused on the joys within and experience whatever God wants you to experience. So let us meditate for a few minutes. Please sit as comfortably as you can. Close your eyes very gently, just like you close them when you go to sleep. Your eyeballs should be straight, focus 8 to 10 inches in front of you. And as you close your eyes, those of you who have been initiated in the mysteries of the beyond, please do your Simran. And those of you who are new here, please repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. This repetition of God's name should be done mentally and not out loud. So I pray to God Almighty to help each and every one of us here connect with the divine power within and experience the divine light in His effulgence. We'll be sitting for a few minutes. I'll be getting you out of this meditative state at that time. And my best wishes are with each and every one of you. प्लीज़ लीव ऑफ, छोड़ दीजिए जी।